So it's November now. Don't know how that happened. Basically, I'm gonna go through a spoiler roundup of what we know of season 18 so far. I'm gonna try and keep it very brief.
Oh my goodness!
Let's get started. Season 18 premieres November 17th and will consist of 16 episodes rather than its usual 24. Meaning that the season will have 2/3 of the amount of episodes it usually does, if that current schedule even sticks. Which... oh god. The first couple episodes, including the premiere, will be dedicated to the Canadian drug dealing storyline. About time. Apparently we're handling it in the premiere, and then we're taking a break to deal with the 400th episode, and then Gibbs will kind of be off on his own dealing with it in the 3rd and 4th episode, and then it'll all kind of come to a big culmination in the 5th episode. These first several episodes also all take place circa Musical Chairs, which was the 8th, I believe, episode of last season. It was when Gibbs showed up to the musical performance with like a big black eye, lest we forget. That also means that all of these episodes are taking place around November 2019 to December 2019, which is a hell of a different world than November 2020. In the promotional material, we've also been seeing a couple instances of a new character, which makes me wonder if they're kind of testing the waters for her as a replacement for Sloane. Because Sloane's leaving, did I mention that? Apparently me saying, I love this character, is a vanishing spell. According to what I've read, Maria Bello should be in the first 8 episodes of the season. The 8th episode, I think, falls at like an awfully weird place in the season. So I'm very interested to see how they handle that pacing-wise. There's a couple pacing issues that I'm concerned about, but we'll talk about that later. So we know that the first 5 episodes are taking place in, November, December 2019, and then she's only in 3 episodes following that. That leads me to believe that we only have about 3 episodes to close out her arc. I'm really hoping that we spend those 3 episodes focused on her, on Sloane, because NCIS is known for a whole lot of things. Gracefully writing off female characters is not necessarily one of them. I am hoping so bad that we get some sort of development on the storyline between her and her daughter. I'm wondering if maybe that's a way they'll incorporate her send-off, whether it's her daughter saying, hey, I actually do want you to be in my life, like come with me, or if it's the daughter saying, you know what, still no thank you, and then Sloane has to move away because that's really painful for her. I'd be a little bit surprised if that was not a factor somewhere in her departure. Speaking of other things we need to talk about, Sloane and Gibbs. Hi, there's like a thing happening, I think, maybe? What the hell have we been doing here? It has been a hot minute since I've seen Musical Chairs, but if I recall correctly, I do think there was like a little moment between her and Gibbs, and so I wonder if we'll take this 5-episode flashback and kind of revisit some things that may or may not have happened in that time span. And especially if not all that much did happen during those episodes, that's yet another thing we're gonna have to try and cram into those final 3 episodes with her and resolve that at least a little bit. I just want some sort of acknowledgement in their relationship, so that we can end on like a really solid note between them and it's not just like floating off into the abyss. The 400th episode, which is the 2nd episode of this season, is a flashback between Ducky and Gibbs and revolves around how they first met. If there's 2 things that I am historically not super wild about, it's flashback episodes and Ducky-centric episodes. Do you sense a problem? On top of that, I don't kind of love that this episode is breaking the stride of another like really important set of arcs happening. I'm excited to see one of Mark Harmon's sons back to play Gibbs and to see the other actor who played young Ducky before back to play young Ducky again. And I do think there's going to be some really like sweet foundational relationship moments that I'm just a sucker for. It's just that plot point as a whole episode and then that whole episode's placement within the season that I am not thrilled about. But I could be surprised. I've definitely been surprised before, so we'll see. Another thing that we're apparently going to be touching on this season is some marital problems between McGee and Delilah. I have been waiting and waiting to see Delilah back. Why? Why does it have to be like this? Without really like deep diving into McGee's character arc, I think somewhere along the line, he's become just like this beacon of mildly depressing storylines. And I know since the beginning, his whole thing is that he like deals with like elements of misfortune in his day-to-day life, but it was never things that like couldn't be resolved over like a drink at the bar You know what I mean? Somewhere along the line we went from like, oh man, Tony put glue on my keyboard again, to like, oh man, my wife's leaving me and she's taking the kids. I hate to break it to someone, but these two things are not the same. I am really interested to see how this season plays out. I'm a little bit concerned about pacing, especially since we're spending such a big chunk of the season in a flashback. Speaking of flashback, they said that this takes place around November to December 2019. Do you know who else was very much a plot line in November to December 2019? Yeah, that's the one. Not that I'm holding my breath for a reference, but a reference would be great. And then even beyond those initial 5 episodes, we have 3 episodes to really wrap up all of Sloane's stuff. I can't imagine it being feasible to introduce a big new plot line until like April. And even then, how much of that is going to be spent introducing a finale plotline? What even will a finale plotline look like in a season like this? We've had really great arcs play out in very short time spans before, so it's definitely possible. I think it's just going to be all about the pacing in this season. Another kind of positive thing I think coming out of this is, in condensing it from 24 to 16 episodes, is that there's potential to eliminate a lot of those like filler episodes we usually get, which, you know what, I'm all for. Because I think NCIS is at its best when it's more serialized. And I know that's not necessarily some people's vibe or why they watch it, but it kind of is for me. I think arguably a lot of the best NCIS episodes, and a lot of my personal favorite NCIS episodes, are part of these like big hefty arcs. So if in condensing this season forces it to be a bit more serialized than some other seasons have been, I don't think that's a bad thing. Please let me know your guys' thoughts and theories going into this premiere. How do you think they're gonna handle all this like weird time jump stuff? Do you have any thoughts so far about how they're gonna write Sloane out? I would love to know, so please let me know in the comments. I believe that's all for now, and I will see you guys for the recap and review of the season 18 premiere.